everyone, and welcome back to Around Our World in 80. I hope you guys are doing great. It's kind of a fun little Christmas thing going on at our house. We're just kind of relaxing, and Reagan's running around and Jared's trying to keep up with her. So if you guys hear stuff in the background, that's what's going on. But we wanted to get you guys another trip report day. This is going to be day 4. And this was our first day in the park with all 8 of us, and we went to EPCOT. So we actually went to EPCOT on a Sunday. We arrived around 9 o'clock, and we were able to take the monorail from our resort at the Grand Floridian and just walk right up.
All right, everybody ready for a day at EPCOT? Let's go on the monorail.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are currently holding for further traffic clearance. Storage Field Pier marks the entrance to EPCOT.
All the people finishing the half marathon. And then there's the Guardians of the Galaxy ride.
You can experience the exhilaration of test riding a vehicle on the longest and fastest ride ever created for Walt Disney World. Coming into view is World Show.
I don't know why bag check is so weird at EPCOT. This is something that has been the case for at least 2, maybe 3 years. But you have to do bag check at your resort to get on the monorail. And then you take the monorail and you go to the Ticket and Transportation Center, you transfer monorails, and then you go on the monorail to EPCOT. And then when you get to EPCOT, the way that the exit for the monorail is you have to go around, and then you have to go through bag check again. And I can't understand why they can't move the bag check from where it is to where the monorail exits so that you don't have to go through bag check twice. It wouldn't be that big of a deal if it was just us, but we had the baby and we had so much stuff, and trying to get through there was just absolutely ridiculous, and I don't really know why they haven't changed it in the last few years. But once we got in, we went straight to Soarin', which was a little weird. So we still didn't understand necessarily how the child swap program worked. They had to take this was the only ride that we were allowed to do this, but the people that were riding first had to take our magic bands and say, hey, they're with the child outside because you can't bring strollers inside. They had to scan our magic bands, and then they went through the line, and while they were in the line, we took Reagan over to the Seas, and then when they were done, we just swapped.
Do you have a manatee friend now? Look at him go. What is Jimmy go? Yeah. You see the dolphins? Looks like they're coming around. Yeah? Huh?
Yeah.
Look! Reagan, look! Yeah! Say hello, dolphin. Yeah! Isn't that cool? Who's that? Look! Whoa!
Look, Anna. Yeah.
She only had a set of fish meat.
Oh my goodness, Reagan, look how many fish!
No, they can't get to us. Sharks eat fish. There's someone swimming.
Oh, good girl.
I don't know who that is.
It's a diver.
Look at the shark. It's right there.
Yeah, we'll get that one when we leave, because you keep touching everything anyway. So the fish are getting it. Where's the turtle? There we go.
Mira la tortuga, Sofía. Tortuga.
driver's seat compartment. This includes cameras, purses, hats, and of course, these little dudes.
The rides ended up being great. Obviously, Soarin' was one of my favorites. And then Reagan really loved just being able to like see all the animals while we were at the aquarium. That was really fun. And then from there, we went to Test Track. And this is where we actually learned like the legit rules of child swap. So when you go up to the line, you present your magic band saying, hey, I'm the second party, and I'm wanting to participate in the child swap program. And so they scan your magic band. And then what happens is you can basically come back anytime after the posted waiting time for... Let me try this again. You can come back anytime after the posted wait time for the standby line. So at that point, Test Track had a 60-minute posted wait time. So the second party could go ride Test Track after 60 minutes from that point when our magic bands were scanned. And that was basically like a fast pass for the rest of the day. You just had to wait the 60 minutes that everybody else in the standby line would wait. We didn't realize that at first because nobody had explained that to us, so we actually came back early because the rest of our family got through the line early, and the guy was not very helpful in explaining the whole thing to us, and we had to ask somebody else, and it was kind of crazy. But I'm really not a fan of the Disney Child Swap program because you can't wait in line together. So I remember going to Six Flags when I was a kid. My brother was too little to ride some of the rides, but we were able to all wait in line together, and then there was like a waiting area on the other side of the track. So what would happen is my brother and say my dad would go through the car to the waiting area that was on the exit side of the track for the roller coaster, and then me and my mom would actually get on the ride. And then when our car came back around, my mom and I, well, actually, my mom would get out, my dad would get in with me, and then I would go ride with my dad while my mom waited with my brother in the waiting area at the exit area. And so we were still able to hang out as a family in line, and some of those lines can get pretty long. I think we've, done 3-4 hour waits before for some rides because we've been roller coaster junkies pretty much all of our life. But the way that Disney has set up their stuff, you can't even wait in line with a child that's not able to ride. And that just seems very punitive to me because when you're in line, that's the time that you get to actually talk and hang out and spend time as a family, even if you're just playing a game or whatever. And so we were just really not a fan of it the whole rest of the time. And I wish that Disney would just change it where you could do something like that, where you can actually stay in line together and whatnot. So anyway, that's my rant about the Disney Child Swap program. While one party was doing Test Track, my mom, Jared, and we went to the Festival Center at the old Body Works Pavilion, and that's where the new Festival Center is. So they had a bunch of stuff for food and wine in there. My mom ended up buying little trays for everybody so that we could all eat our food on trays instead of trying to find trash cans. For food and wine, we found some mimosas. We were checking out some of the chocolate sculptures. So that part was cool. But if you didn't have something like that while you were waiting for your other party, that was kind of a bummer.
I'm confused on what this one's supposed to be. Wakanda Forever, Black Panther, that makes more sense.
I don't know what those have
Oh, this horseman. I have no idea, Mom.
Think about a crane
Look at the
hanging in the back.
pumpkins. Those are so cute.
The little bats hanging from the tree.
Wow. Oh, yeah. I love this movie so much.
So what is it, Maddie?
Dia de los Muertos. Day of the Dead.
When I was in Mexico, that Day of the Dead shops.
Oh, yeah. That's a big deal.
And then from there, we rode Test Track.
Here's our vehicle. Good job, Jared.
In progress.
Having fun?
All right, my car won and got second.
It got
Here comes the final test.
I love this ride.
I forget you go from dark to
Alright, we gotta see how many points our vehicle got. 212. I think that ties our record for the highest.
And then we went to Mission Space. We had a fast pass for that. Jared actually ended up just volunteering to stay with Reagan. And he took her to one of the little parks that they had for Food and Wine Festival while we rode Mission Space.
Katie, are you gonna survive this mission?
Yes.
Well, take that as yes. You guys ready? Close up, Mama. Not into
Frightening.
Ready?
Always ready.
And then from there, that's when we did Frozen. But we did Frozen via a couple of stops during Food and Wine. We were just kind of doing it all. And we started snacking around the world on our way to Frozen. And then we did get to ride Frozen. And we got to meet Anna and Elsa, which I honestly think was one of our best character interactions. They were not intimidated by the fact that Reagan's a 1-year-old and can't talk back. They just talked and talked and talked with her and were so animated and interacted with me and Jared as well. They were just hilarious. And when I met them back in 2014, they didn't have their like meet and greet space yet. It was just like a little section and we all had to wait outside for hours to meet Anna and Elsa. And so this was the first time I got to actually see the new meet and greet space. And it's beautiful and it's so detailed. And I kind of wish there was a little bit more of a wait so that I could like stop and see some of this stuff.
Say hi, baby girl. Hi. Are we in Norway?
Yes.
We're in Norway. Reagan, look! Reagan, ready, ready.
Now it says 20 minutes.
Those are so cute. It's an ode to the maelstrom. At least it's. Hey, Reagan. Can you say hello?
Are you coming or?
Yep. Reagan, can you say hi?
Oh my goodness, I love your sandals. Perfect for going to the beach.
But yeah, it was awesome. The ride was great. Reagan handled it like a champ.
Elsa wants to give us awesome fun. She's making everyone a snow summer day.
We have a really entertaining ride video or ride photo from Frozen. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. From there, we definitely like got into the meat haha, the meat of eating around the world. We kind of basically just took our little passports, and people would look at the menu from the passport and say, hey, I want to stop at this booth because I want to get this, or no, I'm good, we can move on. And we did a lot of splitting. What I really like about the passports is they have marked gluten-free, what items are gluten-free, so that I know that I can eat them. So if there was a place that had some gluten-free options, we definitely stopped there and made that a priority. All right, finally my first country where I can have something is India, and I got the curry. Jared, what'd you get?
The mango yogurt thing.
Mango yogurt thing. All right, and then I got the beef from Africa. That's my favorite.
The beef from Africa.
Beef from Africa. All right, what's been y'all's favorite so far? We're at Germany.
I like the spicy noodle thing. What was that?
Thailand?
Thailand.
Spicy noodles at Thailand.
Noodles, shrimp, peppered shrimp, and the
Black pepper shrimp at China.
Yeah,
That was really good. Katie, what's your favorite, Ben?
Lassi.
Oh, yeah. I still think the African, the beef tips with grits, that's still one of my all-time favorites. It's just got a little bit of spice and heat to it. I know my brother really liked trying a lot of the beers. The wines, obviously, are high on my family's list. The Brazilian cheese bread is still like a favorite of ours. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. We really enjoyed ourselves just being able to walk around and taste everything, and we would compare notes and see, you know, what we thought about everything. And it was just so much fun to be able to hang out like that. So we finished early afternoon doing the Food and Wine Festival, and we went back to our hotel to take a nap. Because everybody was pretty tired, not just the baby. That was kind of the theme of the week. And then we arrived back at EPCOT around 7 o'clock, and we went to Coral Reef for dinner.
Oh my gosh, that's so good.
What is it, Jared?
Tempura fried cauliflower.
Yeah.
It's really good. You want to try some?
No, I'm good. I love fried cauliflower.
Playing with her wallet. Jared got cauliflower. And it's apparently Mahi night. I love Coral Reef, and I've had really great experiences at Coral Reef, but this was not one of my favorite experiences there. They kind of put us way back in the back, and they had us in a booth, and it was a really big booth, and then there was like 2 tables. And the only way for Reagan to sit was like in between the 2 tables, and she was like sandwiched in between in her high chair. So the configuration wasn't really that great. Our server was not extremely attentive, and she didn't come past our booth very often because we were basically the last booth on the row. And then you couldn't really see the fish. So it wasn't necessarily my favorite experience there. I've had way better experiences, but the food was still great, and everybody really enjoyed their time. And then on our way out, we went on Spaceship Earth, and that was also when it started raining. Spaceship Earth is one of my favorites, and it's one that Reagan was able to go on. So we made it a priority to get on that one and hang out and see the Phoenicians and all that stuff. Reagan, what are we going to ride? What are we going to ride? You going to ride Spaceship Earth?
And now I believe your future is just about ready. Let's take a look, shall we?
Welcome to the future. Or should I say, your future. In the future, the city will be a great place to work. Your high-tech home office will be a media-rich environment, outfitted with global networking and the latest digital tools to turn your dreams into reality. Need to be somewhere? No problem. Just pack up and go.
We live in a tiki hut.
You'll be able to keep working because your car drives itself.
Is that Daddy?
Your team is always available for brainstorming, even while you commute, thanks to a personal digital assistant that carries all your files. Who knew that board meetings could be such a blast? Time to relax. But if you live to work, you can keep an eye on your projects with video streaming digital display glasses that bring you messages and news. This just in. Looks like it's going to be a great, big, beautiful tomorrow. The end. Or should I say the beginning of your future.
Oh, hi.
And then we had a wet dash out of the park back to the monorail and back to the hotel.
All right, and everybody is the owner of a new poncho. Yay!
Not everybody.
And that's been our EPCOT day.
So that was day 4 for us. It was so much fun for me, but even despite the frustrations with Child Swap, we have such a great family where we just make the best of whatever situation comes our way on vacations. And I really love that about our family. And so we were able to just have a good time and hang out and have fun and try some new things. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you had questions or comments about our trip, just let us know. We love to reply to them and help any other families out, especially when you're hanging out with a 1-year-old at Disney for the first time. And yeah, we'll see you guys next time for our Animal Kingdom Day. Bye!
You can keep an eye on your projects with video streaming digital display glasses that bring you messages and news. This just in. Looks like it's going to be a great, big, beautiful tomorrow. The end. Or should I say the beginning of your future.